Bright blessings. Good morning to you all, and welcome back to this series. And today I have something a little different for you. I have quite a preamble that's going to go in a different direction rather than a historical one. And we will talk a little bit about the evolution of the High Priestess card as we go through. But there's some other things that just sort of arose in the preparation for the video that I think are worthwhile discussing. So welcome to all of you. If you're new, my name is Sadhana. I have been reading the tarot for over 25 years, and I just love talking about it and sharing my insights and working with you individually and through YouTube. So know that you're all welcome. Your questions are always welcome, and I'm so happy to be here. And I want to thank Masha for gathering our community in this way. So good morning, Arya. Let's begin with something that arose as I was selecting cards. And good morning, Dee. And that was the question: what happens when you find a card in a deck that better represents a particular archetype than the one the creator has selected? And in the two decks that are on the table, this kind of happened, and I shared with you that I went through every deck in my library in preparation for this series. And just this morning, as I was looking at these two decks, I just felt compelled to ask this question. And so I have both with the Hush Tarot, and I can link these below later, the Hush Tarot and Soul Cards 1 and 2 combined. With the Hush Tarot, I renumbered and reordered the deck, and I believe I wrote titles on the deck. I may have done that. I no longer have the deck to share with you. It's not one that I work with any longer, but that was quite a project, and I do have a video on that. And when I took Soul Cards 1 and 2 to make my own tarot deck from those, and of course there's many more than 78 cards, so there's lots to choose from, that was a really powerful exercise, because it asks you to really understand the archetypes and to know what the archetypes represent so that you can select a suitable card. And the deck on the left is Tarot of the Divine by Yoshi Yoshitani. And the High Priestess card in the deck is Scheherazade. And each of these cards goes with a tale from various countries. And the card beside it, which is a Nine of Swords, is the Oracle of Delphi and the Oedipus story, one of the stories, the Oedipus stories. And in this deck, I really love the energy. The Oracle of Delphi is such a iconic high priestess, and I think this would have been a really amazing high priestess card. And I understand why it was chosen for the Nine of Swords. But why I'm sharing this with you is because when you're doing a reading and a particular image jumps forward on the table and you capture it in your words, in your mind, in your spirit, in the intention of the reading as something other than is written on the title below, it's really important that you let yourself go with that. Which I have done many a times in mixing up cards. And I think it's really important to trust in your readings. If you know these archetypes well, they can come alive in a variety of cards. And I think this is why I did my Tarot Through the Chakras class, was because I am so, I have never found a chakra deck that I could resonate with, because I believe that if you know the energy of the chakras, they can come alive in many different cards. And so when a particular creator assigns the 78 arcana to a chakra, it doesn't always work. And in the Deviant Moon Tarot, the thing that I was really mesmerized with was the skull that is on the low back. And like we were talking about the drumming yesterday, I can feel the energy of this high priestess getting lost in the energy of the dance. And it takes so much, of course you get lost in the ecstasy of the dance. I'm sure I've never done belly dancing. One of my daughters has, but there's incredible concentration here as well too, and connection to move your body in this way. And with the skull at the low back here, and I'm just reminded of those sannyasi devotees, monks, who humbly never quite leave their sacral chakra, and are humbled that in this journey, in this lifetime, we will always be revisiting the lessons of the sacral chakra. And the fact that the high priestess is so deeply connected to the waters of the sacral chakra, this card and the moon and the energy and the two temples on the left and the right, it just feels like such a high priestess card to me. So I think this is, I just needed to say this here today, and invite your feedback for those of you, especially that are watching the replay. And I like what Arya said. May your people choose. Oh, you're talking about the election. Yes. Happy election day and happy 4th of July. But you know, when I glanced this comment, I was thinking, may each of you choose your archetypal representatives in your decks and be empowered to do so. All right. So good morning, Patrice. Hello and welcome to you. Saskia, namaste. Welcome from Corfu. And Emilia, welcome to you. I hope you're starting to feel the veil lifting a little. D says, I've never swapped a card out, but I can never not keep thinking I'd rather use a different card. Okay. All right. So, one other thing I want to share with you. And I'm going to put all right. The card on the left is Torre della Fine. Maybe I'll turn off this ring light. Makes no difference. Okay. Gasman Tarot on the right and Philarcos Tarot in the center. And I want to read to you from Carmen Sorrenti. And you might want to hold a High Priestess card in your hand. You might want to close your eyes. Just listen to these words. Oracle of Delphi, womb and center of earth. She perches in the Aditon, the inaccessible place, available once mind splits open like ripe fruit and receives light forms of language. Dawn approaches and brings back the sun in all its splendor. Something fine and rare is revealed when dark and light meet. This act of God possession was known as enthusiasmos. It says a great deal about the power of enthusiasm as we know it today. Enthusiasm for life is a kind of magic, the act of making sacred. Light is language. Words are not the only language. They are pinpoints of differentiation, fundamental and limited. What comes between words and their rhythms carries a great deal more of the information. Do not fret if the oracle is incomprehensible. Sit with it. Allow it to unravel. The sage opens its eye into the heart. And on the island, priestesses burn its leaves as they welcome seekers, so as to fill the atmosphere with its wisdom. Through the sage smoke, vision alters as life and death unite in a single thread of continuing existence. The light changes, and what is beyond shimmers in all its life. Just across the curtain of smoke, the union is ecstatic. All healing comes from this liminal frontier of transformation. The raven enters top left. Its caw announces the mysterious power pulsing through the matrix. That's Carmen Sorrenti from the Full-Arcos Tarot, which is the card in the center. I think this archetype, wherever it appears, in whatever history, whatever aspect you are working with in a deck, if you have never encountered this archetype, I pray that you do at some point. To be with a high priestess it's intense. It's really intense, and what it awakens can be quite painful. I'm thinking of a headache that arose in an intense workshop that I did one time. I'm just thinking of some high priestesses in different workshops that I've taken, and there's this this cracking open that is required to allow the messages to become clearer, requires a certain discipline and devotion to practice. And this is something that the high priestess may have come into from birth, but likely was trained and learned many of these practices through hard work. And I think about Ananda Shakti, one of my teachers over the years, and the way that she learned to weave light and use that as a way to shift frequency in ceremony. And it's really, really intense. And so whether I'm looking at a cloaked popess or something a little more bohemian, I just feel humbled, and there's a quiet in this presence. And I think one of the differences between that magician, who is also has the potential to channel spirit energy, is that this is very inward, and so it can really rattle you. shaking up something inside your being. I really like the card on the left. I like that there is sun and moon, which would mirror what we were familiar with pillars. And I also like in this card that the sun is on her right and the moon is on her left. That she has the power of the blessing. She has that mudra in her right hand. I really like this card. There's one other thing I encourage you to look at in some of your decks, historical or otherwise, and that is the way that the print is on the page. Last week when I was starting to do this exercise, I found a couple of decks where the print was going vertically on the page, not horizontally. And I wanted to bring one of those cards out today, but I couldn't find it. And that just felt like an older language, an older text. And I just really like that. So, yeah. She is, whether she is heavily cloaked, symbolically, protectively, or whether she is lightly and loosely dressed, more, like I said, bohemianly, she carries the same energy for me. All right. So I have a whole slew of High Priestesses to share with you. And I have this other idea. This is the Il Menengello Soprafino deck. It's really a beautiful deck. She doesn't like to be on display. And when she has to be in front of the crowd, I think we need to respect the energy that is required for her to be there. And one of the things with the High Priestess archetype that I find so challenging is that it's hard for this archetype to exist in this world, to go to the grocery store, to attend parties, to be with the muggles, so to speak. And I think this is a clue in listening to Querence and reading this card, and to helping people. So this is the Fountain Tarot, and I've got two decks that are almost identical here. And there's something very contemporary here. I mean, not of this decade, but it's so intense. The intensity in this face. It kind of reminds me of an event that I used to go to with some teachers back in the day, and this was sort of before I had embraced this work. And it was this is a textured tarot that kind of has that same vibe, where those curtains are kind of swaying, and dare I walk behind those curtains? Am I ready for this? You know, this is the red pill, blue pill moment in this card. Like, do I really want to know? And that most definitely is a question that I ask. And as I was reading that, just that I asked Querence, do you really want to know the answer to this question? The High Priestess from the Druidcraft Tarot is all powerful, and I imagine that, like in that description on the island where the priestesses burn leaves as they welcome seekers. I can see this sort of priestess there blessing the sacred space. And I am so blessed to have been with many a priestess. In this deck, a lot of the cards are renamed, renumbered, and for me in the manga, this is the manga tarot, I shared one other card, the Fool card from the same deck. This is the one that I read as the High Priestess, and I think it's absolutely stunning. She does have a veil over her head. Her feet are in the water. It's kind of misty and dark. It's really beautiful. This is the Crystal Tarot. Again, a heavily cloaked priestess, and she's looking straight forward at you. It might just be the fabric in this card that I love so much. It's really something. Now which one? This one. These are kind of similar, but in the Wildwood Tarot there is a vessel of water, and in front of the High Priestess, and this feels really significant. For both scrying, but there's something about it's I'm sort of beyond, I'm without words here. It's such a powerful symbol. And this is not just about scrying, it's about all that it contains. And I believe that she may have so much energy stored in that cauldron, that the cauldron and the water within the cauldron have a power unto themselves. Fountain and textured tarot are very Bene Gesserit looking. The secrecy also fosters intrigue and the temptation of power in secret places. And from a different culture, this is the Vision Quest Tarot. But in a way, this is, we see that through the veil, when we look within, that it all is contained within, and that if we are able to look within, that everything that we can understand. There's some really great cards in the Vision Quest Tarot, and this is one of them. I haven't worked with the Ritual Tarot, and it's sort of on my list of things to do. I did acquire a few collage decks, I think in 2023. There was just there was a couple of tarot tubers who were going kind of bananas on collage decks, and this one caught my eye, and I am really intrigued with it. I think this in general has a lot of High Priestess types in the deck, and this card in particular is quite powerful. This is the Tarot de Ozar from Laurie LePage. And so what is the what are my top 5? And how in the world to choose from these cards. And I would have to choose the Wildwood or the Druid Craft, one of those. So this would be a group. I really, really love this card. And this one and the Fountain are kind of a pair. You know, there's certain decks where I could choose just about every single card in the deck, but I think I can do this kind of quickly. So I'm going to go like this. Okay, so there's 4. And then I'm going to line up all the others here and choose my 5th. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to choose both of these. That's what I'm going to do. All right, so left to right in no particular order, my top 5, and I can speak to the Tarot de Ozar, and I might sort of black Madonna kind of energy. I think I've shared this story with you before. It was a really powerful aha moment. And I was working with a client and who was black, and I just was looking into her face and listening to her story. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom in. There we go. And the idea of black and darkness and night as goddess was starting to just ping, 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 ping in my system. And I was looking at her face and I said something to the effect of, there must be something that black women know about the feminine archetype that white women can't reach as deeply, simply from wearing black skin, which is in their DNA, which is in their karma, which is in their past lives. And it just sent all these tingles through my body. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know what book it was in, but there was a black mermaid that was part of a story, and something similar kind of light bulb went off in me. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave these as my top 5. And let's go to Dee's comment, and then I'll just rename the titles. Unlike the magician, the high priestess doesn't care to show off her knowledge and power. She isn't involved in the obvious or those who seek an audience with her. Yeah, very well put. Very well put. Okay, so this is Tarot de Ozar by Laurie LePage. This is the Falarcos Tarot by Carmen Sorrenti, which, by the way, will be, there may be new cards added to it. Carmen is doing a PhD in her dream work, and over the next couple of years, this deck will be revised. I think the book will actually come out, not anytime soon. This is the manga tarot. It is a low scarabeo deck, heavy in Japanese culture, and lots of cards are reassigned. This is the Druid Craft Tarot, and this is the Wildwood Tarot. And I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. And take good care of yourselves. I will be back tomorrow and over the next few days, 8:15 a.m. Pacific, to sort of catch up with all of this. All right. Thank you. Bye for now.